to clear parts of northern England, but eventually, by the end of the afternoon, it will be more restricted to the east coast, with plenty of sunshine elsewhere. And where we get the longest sunny spells, temperatures will reach the low 20s. However, that North Sea wind will make it feel on the cool side for the east of England and north and east Scotland. Sunday starts off in a similar way. A lot of low cloud across many parts of the UK, but it tends to retreat back to the east coast once again. Sunshine breaking out widely. Chance of a few showers Monday, Tuesday, but away from those showers, plenty of sunshine continues with highs into the low 20s.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be the next big winner on the road in this brand new Alnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. Imagine the fun you could have in this luxurious home from home worth over £67,000. We'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash to make your next getaway a great one. And it could be all yours. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
It's Patrick Christys tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christys tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for coming. Hello, how are you? Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Wow, here we go again, everybody. It's a full house here for my live studio audience show on Patrick Christys tonight. We've got a heck of a lot to get through. Starting with this.
Yes, but I think they are give me England. They are give me money. You can help me anything. I can need it. Maybe you help me.
This week, we expose the reality of the invasion of Britain.
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist.
Emily Maitlis has had an absolute shocker over the Pakistani rape gangs, and... something very weird is going on with the Lucy Connelly case. We'll discuss that, plus...
Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI.
Mastermind David Lammy there allegedly shouted about the effing French to a rogue taxi driver. I think I like him now.
Oi, you! Shut your mouth and look at my wad! Loads of money!
This is a journey into money.
Well, a record number of billionaires and millionaires are leaving Starmer's Britain. We do actually need them, you know. On my panel tonight is Labour MP for Brent West, Barry Gardner. We've got former Tory MP Jane Stevenson. Broadcasting royalty Christo Fufa. And political commentator, fan favourite Matthew Torby. All right then, get ready Britain, here we go. Is it time to free Lucy Connelly? Next.
Very good evening to you. The top story tonight, and we start with breaking news. Police have now named the 3 people killed in the Bicester Motion fire as firefighters Jenny Logan, aged 30 years old, 38-year-old Martin Sadler, and local man David Chester, who sadly died at the age of 57. Police say an unexplained death investigation is now underway, with Thames Valley Police's major crime team leading the probe. The fire tore through the former RAF base on Thursday evening in what is believed to be the first firefighter death in the line of duty since January 2023. 2 more firefighters remain seriously injured in hospital. And earlier, Assistant Chief Constable Tim Metcalfe called it an absolute tragedy and paid tribute to the victims' bravery. In other news, Labour is reportedly preparing to row back on its cut to winter fuel payments, with a U-turn possible as soon as next month. The policy, which stripped around 9 million pensioners of up to £300 a year, has been branded kryptonite by some Labour MPs. Sir Keir Starmer, though, refused to deny a change is coming when asked at a summit in Albania. Focus groups suggest voters would welcome a reversal, especially with pressure growing over claims the cut funded support for asylum seekers. Downing Street insists the policy still stands, but options are on the table. MPs have today voted to protect staff from being forced to take part in assisted dying under a proposed new law for England and Wales. The bill, put forward by Labour's Kim Leadbeater, would allow terminally ill adults with 6 months to live to seek help to end their lives. It passed its first stage last year and has since faced months of emotional debate and major changes. One of the amendments would stop doctors from raising the option of assisted dying first with patients. Further votes are due on the 13th of June. Russia and Ukraine have held rare face-to-face peace talks in Istanbul in Turkey, but they lasted less than 2 hours and ended with accusations from Moscow of unrealistic demands. Despite agreeing a major prisoner swap, the largest so far, Kyiv says there is still a huge gap between the two sides on issues like territory and ceasefires. Russia, however, claims it's satisfied with the talks, which some see as a show of diplomacy without real compromise. A proposed 30-day truce is off the table for now, and while both sides will outline their vision for peace in a future talk, critics say that could have happened months ago. And the UK is turning up the heat this weekend. It's set to be warmer than Ibiza, with temperatures hitting 25 degrees in parts of the west. It follows one of the driest springs in over a century, with rainfall nearly 20 millimetres below the previous record low. Farmers say they're already having to irrigate fields weeks earlier than usual, despite reservoirs full from a wet winter. And with more dry days ahead, the Environment Agency is warning of risks of droughts this summer. You're up to date with all of the top stories. I'll be back with another roundup in an hour's time. Now, though, it's over to Patrick.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
tonight. Absolutely tremendous form. We've got some more people in the green room as well. So, yes, all right. Well, what is going on in the case of Lucy Connelly? So, Lucy is the wife of a former Tory councillor who tweeted this after the Southport massacre. She said, mass deportations now, set fire to all of the effing hotels, full of the bees, for all I care. If that makes me racist, then so be it. Now, she deleted that post about 4 hours later and was sentenced to 31 months in prison. She was in the High Court today, appealing her sentence. So here's what she says, all right? So she says, firstly, she's very sorry. She shouldn't have tweeted that. She didn't fully understand what she was pleading guilty to and what the consequences could be. She never meant for anyone to actually act on what she said. And she also went on to say that the Southport massacre triggered her PTSD following the death of her own child. So, we all remember, don't we, what Keir Starmer said at the time.
I'm now expecting substantive sentencing before the end of this week. That should send a very powerful message.
There you go. But of course, Lucy Connelly has received longer in prison than this guy. Yeah, do you think that maybe Hugh Edwards should have gone to prison for longer than Lucy Connelly, anyone? Yeah. I think that's probably common sense, isn't it, really? But yes, convicted paedophile and disgraced BBC presenter Hugh Edwards, well, he got a softer sentence. He strolled out of court, didn't he? We just saw him. He strolled out of court. Anyway, she's received a longer prison sentence than some members of the Pakistani rape gangs as well. We are waiting for the verdict from the court. But this is what I want to ask. A couple of things, OK? Has she been punished enough? Should Lucy Connelly be free? And is free speech absolute? Right, well, let's get the thoughts of my panel on this, and then we'll throw it over to my wonderful live studio audience. OK, so, Jan, I'll start with you. Do you think that Lucy Connelly should be free now?
Yes, I do. I think the sentence... I haven't met anyone that thinks it's a reasonable sentence, and I think what person can say we've not sent something in the heat of the moment, whether that's a text message or an email, that we regret so soon afterwards, and she's got a 12-year-old daughter who's been without her mum now for so long. She's not a danger to anyone. She's said today she didn't realise she was admitting to inciting violence today. She just wanted to be honest and say she regretted it. And I think people are getting quite sick of this sort of sentence.
Let's get a feel for the room then. So by way of just saying yes, I suppose, who thinks that Lucy Connelly should be free now? Yeah! Right, OK. Anyone who doesn't? No, OK. All right. Christys, I'll go to you and then we'll go to a question from the back there. Go on.
All right. She was stupid. She sent something that was really stupid, but she was sent to prison for the amount of time she was for political reasons, to score political points. And actually, I think it's starting to backfire because, going back to your question about free speech being absolute, I'm seeing a lot of people now on Twitter, actually Will, who does the Saturday 5 at this table, he is now saying, and look, I disagree with him, but he has absolutely the right to say this, actually, free speech should be absolute. Now, actually, you shouldn't actually be in prison. If you want to incite violence against someone, it's wrong, it's terrible if you say these words. Not be violent, but say these words. And so, actually, if you're doing that, well, freedom of speech is more important than people being shut down for saying this sort of thing. And so I think it's counterproductive. I think it's backfiring, and I think it's fueling people saying, actually, you should be allowed to say anything.
OK, all right. We have got a point there from the lady at the back. So what would you like to say on this issue?
Hi, Patrick.
Hi. Right.
Well done for doing your stint in France.
Thank you.
And getting back safely.
Well, yes, that was the main thing.
Yeah. OK, so with this lady, she's been put away for 31 months, which is shocking when you've had a Labour MP who hit a constituent and walk away.
I see. Yeah.
From not getting anything there.
Well, I suppose that's someone who has actually committed an assault, isn't it? Versus someone who did put a post out on Twitter. Barry, do you think that's a fair comparison?
Look, the first thing I have to say is because it is being considered by the Court of Appeal, as a politician, I should not comment on her case. But I do want to tackle the issues. And the first issue is freedom of speech absolute. And the answer is that in this country, no, it's not. If you say something, you can be as offensive as you like, but what you can't do is you cannot incite to violence or to racial hatred. That's not allowed, and that's a criminal offence. So there's a difference between being offensive, which, you know, some people would say I am all the time, but, you know, it's not about that. It's actually about, you know, whether you incite to violence, whether you are inciting racial hatred.
But Barry,
now,
doesn't this... Hang on, can I just ask this,
but the other thing...
Doesn't this raise the question... Can I just ask, doesn't this raise the question, though, that if you are stupid enough to say on Twitter, I want you to go and attack migrants, right? Yeah. That's really stupid.
Which she did.
But the person who would then attack a migrant, that's the person who is in the wrong. He's stupid enough to read a tweet and then go and attack someone.
We can't prove anyone did anything off the back of what...
No, indeed. Yeah. But what we do know is that the courts always consider these things in the context, and if there is rioting, the courts are very keen to clamp down on anything associated with rioting.
OK.
And because there was a riot in this situation, I think that's why the courts reacted in the way they did.
OK, fair enough. I can see a few people shaking their heads. Is there any chance anyone else might just want to grab a microphone quickly here and make a point about this? There we go. He's gone for it. Good lad. All right. Will we live to regret this? Go on.
Well, it's funny when they're not in Hill, people are murdered. Some poor woman was murdered recently, a black lady, and nobody says anything. Oh, just let it carry on, and we'll do the carnival next year. So what's the difference? So it's fine for people to cause violence in some things, but when it's other things, no one says a word.
No, it's not, of course, sir, because look, what would happen in that situation is whoever it was that murdered that woman is now being chased by the police, and they will be banged up, you know, for that life sentence if they're caught. A murder is a murder, straight. It's not all right, of course it's not. There's no situation in which it's all right to commit a murder. But should people be free to have a carnival, that goes to the essence of what you're asking. Yes, of course. In exactly the same way as people should be free to protest against asylum seekers or whatever, right. But to do so peacefully.
Let's bring Matthew in. So, Matthew, I would suggest that whatever goes on in the High Court, you know, whatever verdict they come to, I think in the court of public opinion, and not just in this room, I think generally now most people would think that Lucy Connelly should be free. Would you accept that?
In the court of public opinion, maybe, but that's not where we put people on trial. You know, that's where judges are supposed to be judges. They take all emotion out of things. They look at sentencing guidelines. She was very stupid, as we know. I think she probably regrets it. Yeah. Jane made a fair point that, you know, we've all said things in anger over text. I've never wished death amongst a group of people, though, no. However. I wouldn't say I've ever been that stupid. There's a broader point that I hear a lot that she's a mother. And it's not just her case. There are 17,000 children every year who have their mothers taken away from them by their mothers being sentenced to prison for non-violent crimes a lot of the time as well. And we cannot talk enough about the importance a mother plays on a child's development growing up. I will always remain scepticism because the prosecution went through Lucy Connelly's phone once she was arrested.
Yeah.
And they found messages in which she had told friends that she would play the mental health card if she was ever arrested, which I don't discount that she struggles, PTSD and all the rest of it happened to her child. That's awful. But I think to be saying things like that and then be saying she's sorry and it was poor mental health, I therefore park my scepticism.
But she's clearly, what she is not very bright. I'm sorry to say it, the way in which she's handled that. But I'm afraid her and the length of her sentence, and no one's saying she shouldn't be punished, I feel like it's a massive distraction. The government failed. The government has failed for years when it's come to people feeling disillusioned with their safety when it comes to attacks that are lone wolves, whatever the motive might be. And all of this was a distraction from the fact that successive governments have failed on this issue.
Yeah, I do feel as though she is now a kind of totem, isn't she? Because as we've done there, I mean, you compared it to the Mike Amesbury, Iron Mike Amesbury. Yeah, well, I think you can. Why did that guy not go to prison? No. He battered a constituent in a late-night brawl in the middle of a street in Runcorn, all right? And Lucy Connelly was previously unknown, right? We know she's now... I don't even know how many Twitter followers she had. Probably probably not a lot at all. She was just a woman, right? She was just a normal woman who was the wife of a former Tory councillor, all that stuff. She was not a celebrity. She didn't have hundreds of thousands of followers. She put something out. She might have had a couple of glasses of wine or something, put it out. It was wrong. It was bad. She's deleted it. And now her life is ruined. Why is Mike Amesbury just plodding around, carrying on with his life?
Because that's apples and pears. Should Mike Amesbury have gone to prison? Yes, probably.
Yeah.
Should Hugh Edwards have gone to prison?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
No, it's apples and grenades. I'm sorry, it's apples and grenades. It's not apples and pears.
If we're going to compare sentence length, you need to be looking at other cases of incitement of hatred and racism. Now, if somebody has got far less than Lucy Connelly for a very similar offence, then there's maybe a question over the harsh or the severity of the sentence. That's not what we're doing. We're cherry-picking certain types of sentences for very different offences and going, oh, they didn't go. Well, that's a mistake as well.
And can I just theme that people are getting punished less when it comes to actually being violent? It's ridiculous.
But I think on the free speech, she admitted she made a mistake. She tweeted 2 days later against rioting. She was very clear. So, you know, I just think it's crazy. She regretted it. And yes, with free speech, I believe in freedom of speech. I also believe in personal responsibility. We do have responsibility not to incite violence against other people.
I'm sure Mike Amesbury woke up with an hangover and he regretted it. It doesn't mean that he should not go to prison.
And actually, just for the record, Mike Amesbury's life is ruined.
And he did go to prison,
he did go
very
to prison.
briefly.
And
for about 20 minutes.
This is somebody who actually was a decent constituency MP. He made a huge mistake. He was, and, you know, I'm not going to talk about his own mental condition, but, you know, he made a huge mistake. But he's lost his career, he's lost his standing in the community. His life has been ruined by that as well.
Yeah, OK. I mean, he battered someone in the street, though, didn't he? So, I mean, kind of, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see, obviously, what happens with Lucy Connelly, because she could be out and about. The only thing I would say about this is I'm very sceptical as to what these judges are going to say, purely because this was a time, wasn't it, where judges, in my view, were being lent on to give quite significant sentences. Do we all remember what it felt like then? I can remember people were calling me and being like, oh, what about this tweet that I've done from years ago? So it was a weird time, wasn't it? It was a really weird time where it just felt like at any moment maybe the Stars was going to kick your door in. And then you see these cases. So I just worry that the judges are now, in a way, being asked to mark their own homework with this. If they go and say she was sentenced to far too long, let's get her out of prison, does that not set the ball rolling on people that have been locked up for ages? I mean, Peter Lynch, unfortunately, took his own life behind bars. We don't know the exact reason behind that, but, you know, it's obviously been suggested that he was struggling big time with the fact that he was locked up and had the word racist on his back as well, because of the nature of what he'd done.
Patrick, very quickly, I think the one thing that the judges should be allowing is her rottle, which is she's allowed out on temporary licence.
They treat her like Myra Hindley.
No, so she's in a Category C prison. You normally get your own key to your cell. You know, it's very sort of open. And she should be entitled the same way that any other prisoner should. And I believe she's been able to since November, but they won't give it. She should be able to go home at weekends, spend time with the kids, and it's beneficial for all sides, especially the poor kid that's growing up at the minute with no mum.
OK. All right. OK, right, well, there we go. That is the start. Now, we've got loads more coming your way. I know why you're all here, though. Absolutely. It's not just for me, is it? No, it's not just for the panel. It's time for the Great British Giveaway. To win a £67,000 motorhome. Before we do this, who has entered the Great British Giveaway in this room? Quite a lot of people. Good.
This motorhome is going to need an MOT soon. I mean, how long have you been giving it away?
Well, we're going to keep giving it away anyway. Here's how you can win it.
Great Britain is ready for you to explore this summer, and there's still plenty of time to grab this fabulous family motorhome. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, the Elnag Baron 560 comfortably sleeps 4, has integrated bathroom and kitchen spaces, and plenty of storage for all of the things you need to bring along on your next adventure. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that anywhere you visit in your brand new motorhome is done in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, coming up, the NHS has been slammed after it emerged that doctors are treating toddlers who they think are trans. So, can babies really get gender dysphoria? That's next.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Audience, well, the NHS has been slammed after it emerged that doctors are treating toddlers who they think are trans. So the Health Service was preparing to introduce a minimum age of 7 for children to be treated at specialist gender clinics, which can I just say is already ridiculous, I think. But after the plans were sent out for consultation, the limit was removed. This is a classic case of them going, right, OK, we've got it now, we'll send them out to consultation, they'll probably take the edge off, and it's got worse. It's unbelievable. According to the latest data, up to 10 toddlers are being treated, while as many as 157 children aged 9 or younger have been referred to these clinics. So the children are not given puberty blockers, it's important to say that, but they are offered counselling and therapy and presumably are having their beliefs affirmed to them. Right, so a source close to the consultation told The Telegraph that NHS England had, quote, caved to the pressure of trans activists. Well, there we go. I'm going to go straight to my friend on the front row here. Hello, sir. What would you like to say, please?
I'd like to ask the panel if, with these gender clinics,
I know we need to have something, right? We can't just leave it like as it be, because there is a problem, obviously, growing. It's getting worse. But if you do agree with these clinics, why do you agree with them? And if you don't agree with them, what other solutions would you put on the table that could actually make an impact and be, you know, beneficial in a positive manner? Because it's all right saying, like, to myself, I don't believe in it. Personally, I think there'll be a better way, because they're doing things like voice therapy and stuff, which obviously Keir Starmer's a big fan of as well. Get that one in. But honestly, like, there has to be, I think, another route. Have I got you there? Have I got you, Patrick?
That's good. I like it. I was literally, as you were talking, I was just thinking, this is so much better than question time. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
But yes, that's my question to the panel. Like, if you do agree, why? And if you don't, what are the other alternatives?
All right, OK, good stuff. Well, I don't know, should start work our way down the line, I suppose. Go on, Matthew. What do you think on this? I mean, the fact is that now toddlers, all right, there's only, say only 10 of them. I think it's probably 10 too many, but these toddlers are going to these clinics, and what do you make of it?
The clinics, I don't know. I think the counselling isn't a bad thing, and I'll tell you why. Because it's very easy to sort of slate this stuff, and I know that I think the headline was a bit naughty of the story. I think if you are adamant, really adamant at 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, that you wish to be the other gender, then there may be some issues going on there, genuinely, but until you really know who you are, and therefore some counselling may be useful. These kids are questioning who they are, maybe, you know, they really do feel that, maybe they don't. I think the other thing that I always think about, we don't talk about enough, is if these kids are saying this stuff, what if this is a kid that's being abused? And you take, for instance, a little boy, and he's having things happen to him by his dad that shouldn't be happening. And he's got a sister. It doesn't happen to the sister. Maybe he's desperate to be the other gender because he knows it doesn't happen to his sister, the awful thing. And I think through counselling and through kids, we have to listen to kids, always.
I think that's a good point. I really do think that's a very good point. My concern would be that I think in the past we've had their views just affirmed to them. So there was a thing about, you know, where you just back it, basically.
And there lays the problem, by the way, because what is, I think, independent counselling, which I think is a good thing as well, independent is, I think that a lot of activists have said, oh, well, that's conversion therapy. Well, actually, this is potentially going to lead to medical interventions that will last forever. And so actually it needs to be perhaps a slightly more critical kind of counselling than perhaps affirming your sexuality, which I think is a far more fixed thing.
Could I, again, just a feel for the room, what do people think in terms of can a toddler be trans? No. Right. Does anyone think yes? No, again, we've got a full house.
I think a toddler can have or toddler is probably too young, but I think a child can have gender dysphoria. I don't know if that makes them trans. My personal view, and I've said it before, is if you've got a little boy and he says, I want to wear a princess dress, you say, OK, here's the dress, have a biscuit. I mean, that is literally what you do. I don't think you know, and if you read too much into it, you just let them get on with it and see if they grow out of it.
Let's go to the other gentleman on the front row here. What would you like to say?
Patrick, good evening. Good evening to your panel. I'd just like to ask, do you think our schools have an agenda on this subject? And if I was being provocative, I would go as far as to say an indoctrination in this. I'd like to understand your thoughts.
Yeah, go on then.
Thank you.
Jane and then Barry. Cheers, mate.
I think there has been certainly an activism from Stonewall on trans issues. I think to be trans must be very distressing and it must be very challenging. I want to treat people who feel like that with kindness. I think with children, it is a very different thing. Until the age of 12, if you'd have met me, if someone said to me, some little boys are born in little girls' bodies, I would have thought that was me. I was down ditches, up trees, I didn't play with dolls, I was playing football, I was, a proper tomboy. And if you'd have given me the option when I was 3, 4, 5, I would have gone down a whole rabbit hole of emotional sort of torment on that, because I'd think, oh my gosh, this is a big problem.
Yeah.
I think kids are so young at that age, it is too much of a choice to give them.
Where are you on this, Barry? There's obviously a range of issues.
Can I, the gentleman who spoke first, can I thank you for the way in which you phrased the question, first of all, because I think you did that very sensitively. And look, quite honestly, I think it's ridiculous. Toddlers being because what you actually said on the queue was the doctors think they're trans. You know, surely the key thing is what the children and what the parents think. Now, I long ago learned that there is a very clear difference between sex, which is biological, and gender, which is a learned and acquired disposition, right? I learnt that when my mother gave me The Female Eunuch on my 14th birthday, right, by Germaine Greer, and I read it. And I gave it to my daughter on about her 14th birthday.
Didn't you want a bike instead or something? That was like an odd gift.
Actually, that tells you a lot about my mother.
I think we've learned an awful lot from that, yeah.
But the serious point that we have here is, of course, there is something called gender dysphoria, right? We recognise that it happens, but children learn their gender. As you were saying, you know, you change over time. And the idea that from the age of 3 or 4, somebody says, well, I'm the opposite sex.
Okay. And
you're not.
There's a link to autism as well in many cases.
And we do need to distinguish in the child's mind between what is their biology and what is it that they want to acquire as a disposition.
Fine. Now, can I embarrass you, Solly? Yeah. OK, take a good look at this chap's face here, all right? A good look at this chap's face. Now, he's related to another GB News presenter. And so, does anyone want to throw any guesses out there? You know at the back. Go on, good, you guess.
Ben Leo.
Yeah, yes, you got it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
So you're Ben Leo's cousin.
If Ben's watching, he's probably thinking, I do not know that bloke.
Microphone.
If Ben is watching, he's probably thinking, I do not know that bloke, but I haven't seen him in years. But yes,
so when was the last time you saw him?
Oh, when we were very small, both of us.
Right, that's good. So I'm hoping that you've got some really embarrassing stories about it that we can talk about in the break. But anyway, thank you very much, mate. Good stuff. Right, now, a Department of Health spokesman said this. We are working with NHS England to reform children's gender services in line with the recommendations from the CAS review to provide children with timely, holistic support. We've opened 3 new children and young people's gender services, with a 4th anticipated to open later this spring. It's a long one, this. These new services will increase clinical capacity and reduce waiting time so patients can be seen sooner and closer to home. Grief, right, there we are. I've cleared that up, hasn't it? OK, so up next, why are millionaires fleeing Britain?
Oi, you! Shut your mouth and look at my wad! Loads of money!
Yes, anyway, as more than 11,000 millionaires leave in just a year, is tax, Brexit, Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, are they all to blame? And should we be worried? Stay tuned.
I hope it doesn't rain.
Don't worry about it.
It'll spoil our holiday.
Relax, we're totally covered.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Welcome to your holiday sun forecast, and there will be some sunshine for Italy following some unsettled weather this week. Blustery showers, though, pushing into Greece, some heavy downpours and strong winds. That eases away over the next few days, and we're seeing the last of the showers clear southern Italy, with plenty of sunny spells returning. Spain and Portugal, perhaps the places to be. Plenty of dry weather, some patchy cloud, otherwise largely sunny skies. A few showers for Italy, but most places looking good into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. High pressure remains in charge of the UK's weather this weekend. That means plenty more dry and settled weather. Not entirely clear, though. There is a lot of cloud waiting in the North Sea, and with winds circulating around high pressure in a clockwise fashion, we're going to see those winds bring the low cloud in after dark, and that low cloud will spread to much of northern England, the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast, parts of northern and eastern Scotland. I think it'll break up as it moves west, particularly for northwest England, parts of Wales and the southwest. Clearest skies remain to the west, especially Northern Ireland, western Scotland, and here temperatures dipping to the low single figures, but that's where the sunniest weather will be first thing this weekend. Plenty of sunshine in the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, but we've got this low cloud and some spots of drizzle running into the east and northeast of Scotland. Perhaps the low cloud reaching as far as Glasgow and Edinburgh, and certainly extensive across south-east Scotland, north-east England, where again some drizzly outbreaks will be occurring during the first part of the day. But as the morning progresses, the cloud will be nibbled away by the sunshine. It will lift and break up. And really by late morning, the cloud becomes more restricted to parts of the Midlands, northern and northeast England. I think it will be slow to clear parts of northern England, but eventually, by the end of the afternoon, it will be more restricted to the east coast, with plenty of sunshine elsewhere. And where we get the longest sunny spells, temperatures will reach the low 20s. However, that North Sea wind will make it feel on the cool side for the east of England and north and east Scotland. Sunday starts off in a similar way. A lot of low cloud across many parts of the UK, but it tends to retreat back to the east coast once again. Sunshine breaking out widely. Chance of a few showers Monday, Tuesday, but away from those showers, plenty of sunshine continues with highs into the low 20s.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We think the furthest travelled this week are the lovely couple from Manchester. Yeah. Well done. Well done. We've got a couple of people in the green room waiting, so they'll switch in the next break, and maybe they've come even further, but we'll have to wait and see. But now, London has seen the biggest exodus of millionaires in the world, after Moscow, of course, losing 11,300 in just a year. So in a decade-long decline, now adds up to 30,000 in total. So things are like high taxes are being blamed, obviously, Brexit fallout, economic uncertainty. Can't help but wonder whether or not Rachel Reeves is to blame as well. Critics have warned that the UK's crackdown on non-DOMs could cost more than £100 billion in lost growth. So despite the flight, London remains the 4th most expensive city in the world. Look, really, it kind of writes itself, doesn't it? We're losing a lot of people who do pay a lot of tax. Maybe they should pay more tax, some people think, but they do pay a lot of tax. So we're losing them. Who then has to pick up the tab? Well, it's the rest of us, isn't it? So, have we got any millionaires in tonight? No, they've all left, haven't they? They've all left. They've gone. We've got a chap on the front row here who'd like to say something. Go on, mate, what would I say?
Good evening, Patrick. Got a question for Barry, actually. Why is Labour's approach to just tax the rich? The rich are incredibly mobile. They can just move abroad, and they are, as we're seeing. Why don't they instead look to adopt approaches like we're seeing in America with Doge and spend more efficiently rather than just thinking the constant solution is tax, 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 and imposing that burden on the rich who... They're already paying paying the largest amount of the tax burden. So why is that Labour's solution to everything?
Well, the first thing I'd say to you is that it's not. Actually, the highest tax take that we ever had was under the last Conservative government. That was the highest tax take that we'd had since the Second World War. But, of course, we want to introduce efficiencies. I don't think Doge is the way to do it. You don't just blanketly close down the entire Department of Education like they've done in America. I think that's a very foolish thing to do because your education, your skills, is actually your economic prosperity in the future. But let me say this. Yes, the rich are mobile. And they use that mobility sometimes to avoid paying tax. And you'll remember the cases where we've had millionaires, in fact, some decent millionaires who said, why is it that my cleaner is paying more tax than I am. You remember that. Now, that's a ridiculous situation. And in London, in my part of London at the moment, in West London, right, an average salary, you have to have 14 times the average salary to buy a house.
All right. Okay. All right.
Now,
Barry, I love you dearly, but you've been taking your nonsense pills again. I'm sorry. You have, because I buy.
But I got them out of your handbag.
Makeup bag, thank you. Right, I'm sorry, by Labour's own figures, right, the tax burden was going to be higher when they came into government than under the Tories. So taxes are higher. There is a higher tax burden, so you can't blame it all on the Tories. Those are political decisions. Secondly, you're quite right. It is a ridiculous situation that a cleaner would pay more tax than a millionaire. The solution is to lower the taxes for the cleaner, not to boot the millionaire out of the country. That's the solution.
Do you not think that equality in our society is important?
You don't solve inequality by getting rid of all the millionaires.
I'm not trying to get rid of them.
They're leaving.
There just needs to be a slightly bizarre thing in psychology. This is all over the world, but especially here in Britain, where if someone has genuinely worked really, really hard and done very well for themselves, I think that should be something that's celebrated and applauded. And then they pay whatever amount of tax that they pay. But over here, we seem to have this attitude about, like, well, you need to give us more money. You need to, it seems a bit bizarre. So what would you like to say? There's another chap here with the microphone. Here he goes. Go on.
Good evening, Patrick and panel. I think economic and GDP per head growth is one of the stated aims of the current government. What I don't quite understand is the exit of millionaires leaving the country, the increased business taxes that we've seen, and other taxes on personal people. That is not helping us get GDP growth. So, I've got a little present for the panel this evening.
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
All right, now this is at the moment where I have to stress, this is live television, everybody. This is live television. And over to you, sir.
For one evening only, you can rub that bottle and take the genie out, and you can have one wish. You are Prime Minister for one evening.
Okay.
What would you each do that would actually increase GDP? Would actually increase GDP growth in this country in the short term?
Well, go on then, Jane. Go on, sorry.
Thanks for that.
Sorry, I've just stuck you with this.
I'm going to have to think about that because there's lots of things I'd like to do. Some of them would be reversing Rachel Reeves' jobs tax. I'm from Wolverhampton and we had high unemployment. It's rising now because job creators are not creating jobs. But I think to the wider point, the top 1% last year paid 28% of income tax and the top 10% paid 60% of income tax. This is huge, and 35% of adults paid no income tax at all. We need rich people to pay a lot of bulk of taxes. And for all those West
income tax is not the bulk of our tax. It's not.
No, it isn't.
The bulk of our tax comes in corporation tax. It comes in the taxation that we put on VAT. It's not all about
gone up.
Exactly.
All of those taxes have gone up. Why are you quoting taxes that have all gone up, Barry?
Exactly.
They've all gone up.
Very quickly, then we're going to have to
Barry's
go.
West Londoners who complain about not paying enough tax, they are very welcome to voluntarily pay more tax.
Well, this
if they feel really strongly about it, they can bung a few million to Rachel Reeves.
Well, there we go. Right, Matthew, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to go to you on this one, but I'm going to come to you first on David Lammy Taxigate. All right.
From tax to taxi.
So, from tax to taxi. So, David Lammy, has he actually done something good for Britain?
Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI.
Our mastermind now, the Foreign Secretary, is being accused of shouting effing French during a heated taxi fare dispute. And what's happened? He's gone up in the polls. Brilliant, yes. Future Prime Minister David Lammy, everybody. There we go.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Lee Anderson's Real World, Fridays from 7 p.m.
My mum booted me out. She kicked me out. I was 15 going on 16. Yeah. And she'd had enough. And, you know, I think she, like lots of parents, have their own issues as well. And I slept on the streets of Manchester for 12 months, which is, you know, was sort of an experience in itself. Regular occurrence, being beaten up, being urinated on, getting ill, feeling horrible. And someone took me in at first, and so I was essentially groomed into a gang that you know, were involved in nefarious means. And it was similar. It wasn't drugs, but it was similar to sort of the stuff you hear about county lines, where I was essentially a bit of a stooge, bit of a runner. Here, go and do us a favour, and we'll put a roof over your head. That then I fled that eventually after I think close to a year. And it all come crumbling down. A few months later, there was phone calls from the police, you need to come in, otherwise we're going to arrest you.
When did you change?
I thought, I'm trying to find a bit of part-time work to get by around college. And they said, well, the thing is, it's the law. We've got to be careful about data protection. And in my sort of naive mind at the time, I thought, right, I'm going to write to my MP. They can change the law. They're going to do it. We're going to, you know,
good luck with that.
This. Yeah, quite. I know now the difference. So in the end, I always been a bit creative and a bit of a talker, as you'll know.
Yeah.
I thought, no, I'm going to interview my MP. I thought, no, actually, I'm going to interview MPs, plural. So I went round the country, essentially knocking on doors with a letter, explaining my situation, going, this isn't right. So I interviewed Jonathan Aitken, former Tory Cabinet Minister. Andy Burnham took me under his wing because I had a bit of a go at him and said, you've agreed with me for the last 45 minutes of this interview. What have you done about it?
Yeah.
And he said, I like your attitude. Why don't you come and shadow me in Westminster?
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
David Lammy fans in?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, not in the room though, are they? So anyway, now Foreign Secretary David Lammy is being accused of shouting effing French at a taxi driver during a row over a £588 fare in the Alps. The driver, who's called Nassi Minum, claims that Lammy got very aggressive. However, Lammy denies, well, literally everything, actually. Denies the outburst, denies that the fare wasn't paid, like the whole thing, just denies it. Well, now, just to add a little bit more spice into this, the taxi driver has now been charged with theft for allegedly going into Lammy's wife's, I think, suitcase and taking money out of it.
He drove off with their luggage.
And drove off with their luggage, crucially. Wow. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so Lammy's team calls the allegations baseless, says that serious questions remain. Anyway, so, Matthew, I'll start with you. So, has Lammy been stitched up a bit here, do you think?
Massively. Really? I think he's actually... I thought the reporting of it, by The Sun in particular, going finding the taxi driver for a bit of a headline, was disgusting, really. I think, regardless of what you think of him, he's the Foreign Secretary. He's essentially been held hostage for 600 quid. The taxi driver has admitted, once I found out he was the UK's Foreign Secretary, I thought I'll get another 600 quid out of him here. Like, the guy's obviously a con artist, and I think I'd be pretty aggressive if somebody tried charging me 600 quid extra for a cab fare.
I'm sorry, did you see the state of the back seat of that car? It looked absolutely disgusting.
Interesting. And we're led to believe the state of the car did look like that, or is the taxi driver going, oh, look what he's done, look at all this rubbish everywhere.
So for radio listeners, Christo, talk us through.
Yes, I mean, it just looks like there's hideous, and there's salt on the back seat, there's wrappers. I mean, it looks like there's...
It looks like a setup, though, Chris.
It does look like a setup.
I've seen nightclub toilets that look better than that. I really have. and I've seen a lot of nightclub toilets, I tell you.
No, with David Lammy, that is not his style. That is not
What do you mean? How can you say that?
That's
not his style. Lammy would never leave a fork on a back.
That's not the kind of litter that he would leave. Can I just say, though, this is a man who has said last year that that climate change is a more pervasive and fundamental threat than terrorism. Well, get the train. Get the train. I'm sorry. Like Florence to Annecy. I did a route on Google Maps, right? And Florence to Annecy, and Annecy's only an hour away from where he was going. 7.5 hours on the train, environmentally friendly, leading by example, and not getting stitched up by a cabbie. Perfect.
Funny, yeah. Go on. Well, fair enough. Sir, there's a lot. Oh, do you want to make a point as well now on this? Go on. Where's the microphone down? Just because you've already got. Sorry, I've wrestled that off you. Go on. What do you want, sir?
It's just really a point.
Yeah.
He's the Foreign Secretary. Where's his security?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. This comes after, we must be very careful what we say, it's an active case, but it comes after the allegations that the Keir Starmer's property has been firebombed and all of this, which I think shocked quite a few people. Then you've got David Lammy just wandering across the continent of Europe in the back of a man's car, you know, like, well, I mean, just
the way you frame it, it's as if he's got a white stick. I mean, come on.
How has he got into this?
He wasn't wandering across the continent.
The government
Give him a break.
Taxi.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
The government booked it for him. This is the scary thing. So you think they would have secure kind of vetting procedures for someone that's going to drive our foreign secretary?
Maybe Starmer thought that might save him the trouble of a reshuffle. If it's
Maybe.
Right, just drop Lammy off somewhere near Florence. Just drop him off, you know.
And actually, it wasn't a £588 fare.
Yeah.
It was the £1,305 fare, and the cabbie was trying to get the extra 588 quid out of him, saying, oh, well, you know, I now need the extra because the company only booked it for so much of it and they're paying that and you've got to pay the rest.
Do you think the Foreign Secretary shouldn't have put himself in quite such a vulnerable position?
I think...
I don't know, I'm just wondering.
I do think that the issue the gentleman talks about is absolutely right, and that is, where's his security? Because you watched that new Mission Impossible film, didn't you?
OK. I mean, also, by the way, we've barely touched on this, but does everyone think it is OK to shout effing French? Right, OK, just thought, see, we are on GB News, aren't we? So I think we're allowed to say that stuff. Well, I had quite a good look at some of the French this week, and some chaps from Sudan. But anyway, coming up at 10 p.m.
Yes, but I think they are giving me England. They are giving me money. You can help me anything. I can need it. Maybe you help me.
OK, this week we exposed the reality of the invasion into Britain. So the Prime Minister went off to Albania yesterday and came up with a new idea to try to solve it. Unfortunately, he obviously hadn't told the Albanians this. And the Albanians said, you what, mate? No. So there we are. So anyway, we are going to be having a little look at whether or not anyone, let alone human traffickers or people smugglers or illegal migrants, are actually scared of the Prime Minister. I strongly suspect not. I can't help but wonder as well where he's going to go next with this. We've got return hubs. We couldn't have Rwanda. We've got return hubs. Well, I think some of his own MPs would probably lie down in front of the tyres on the plane if he tried to deport anyone. But anyway, all of this coming away next. All right.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. High pressure remains in charge of the UK's weather this weekend. That means plenty more dry and settled weather. Not entirely clear though. There is a lot of cloud waiting in the North Sea, and with winds circulating around high pressure in a clockwise fashion, we're going to see those winds bring the low cloud in after dark, and that low cloud will spread to much of northern England, the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast parts of northern and eastern Scotland. I think it'll break up as it moves west, particularly for northwest England, parts of Wales and the southwest. Clearest skies remain to the west, especially Northern Ireland, western Scotland, and here temperatures dipping to the low single figures, but that's where the sunniest weather will be first thing this weekend. Plenty of sunshine in the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, but we've got this low cloud and some spots of drizzle running into the east and northeast of Scotland. Perhaps the low cloud reaching as far as Glasgow and Edinburgh, and certainly extensive across southeast Scotland, northeast England, where again some drizzly outbreaks will be occurring during the first part of the day. But as the morning progresses, the cloud will be nibbled away by the sunshine. It will lift and break up. And really by late morning, the cloud becomes more restricted to parts of the Midlands, northern and northeast England. I think it will be slow to clear parts of northern England, but eventually, by the end of the afternoon, it will be more restricted to the east coast, with plenty of sunshine elsewhere. And where we get the longest sunny spells, temperatures will reach the low 20s. However, that North Sea wind will make it feel on the cool side for the east of England and north and east Scotland. Sunday starts off in a similar way. A lot of low cloud across many parts of the UK, but it tends to retreat back to the east coast once again. Sunshine breaking out widely. Chance of a few showers Monday, Tuesday, but away from those showers, plenty of sunshine continues with highs into the low 20s.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness. That's wonderful. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GBNews.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it.
Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
So we bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
To my live studio audience show. Great to be here, and if you're not here, why not get yourself here next week? We've got loads on tonight, starting with this.
Yes, but I think they are give me England, they are giving me money. You can help me anything. I can need it. Maybe you help me.
So this week we expose the reality of the invasion of Britain.
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist.
Emily Maitlis has had an absolute shocker over the Pakistani rape gangs. Plus... So Labour are apparently going to give sex offenders and domestic abusers early release.
Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father Henry VIII in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI.
David Lammy allegedly shouted about the effing French to a rogue taxi driver, which of course means that I now love the guy. And have you got any idea who this is?
What the hell just...
On my panel tonight, it's the Labour MP for Brent West, it's Barry Gardner. We've got the former Tory MP, James Stevenson. It's broadcasting royalty, Christopher Fufas. And political commentator, Matthew Torbin. All right. Get ready, Britain. Here we go! The gangs aren't scared of Keir Starmer. Next.
Good evening. The top story tonight. Police have named the 3 people killed in a business park blaze as firefighters Jenny Logan, she was 30 years old, 38-year-old Martin Sadler and a local man, David Chester, who sadly died at the age of 57. An unexplained death investigation is now underway with Thames Valley Police major crime team leading that probe. The fire tore through the former RAF base on Thursday in what's believed to have been the first firefighter death in the line of duty since January 2023. 2 more firefighters remain seriously injured in hospital. Assistant Chief Constable Tim Metcalfe has called it an absolute tragedy and paid tribute to the victims' bravery. Also tonight, Labour is reportedly preparing to row back on its cut to winter fuel payments with a U-turn as possible as soon as next month. The policy, which stripped around 9 million pensioners of up to £300, has been branded kryptonite by some Labour MPs. Sir Keir Starmer refused to deny a change is coming when asked at a summit in Albania today. Focus groups suggest voters would welcome a reversal, especially with pressure growing over claims the cut funded support for asylum seekers. Downing Street insists, though, the policy stands, but that options are on the table. Meanwhile, at that summit in Albania, Sir Keir Starmer and the Albanian Prime Minister continued their discussions, with both sides making plans to tackle organised crime and illegal migration. The UK is exploring new return hubs abroad for migrants facing deportation, but Albania won't be one of them. Sir Keir Starmer says he's working to reset relations with Europe as wider discussions with other EU leaders also continue.
Well, in the last 2 weeks, you've seen the UK do a trade deal with India, really important for our country and our national interest. Trade deal with the US, again, important for our country and national interest. I'm positive going into Monday, and I think that this is an important moment for our country that will be measured in the benefits to working people and their living standards. But we're positive as we go into the summit on Monday.
A man has been charged today over a string of arson attacks linked to Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, including fires at 2 homes and a car in North London. Roman Larinovich, aged 21, is a Ukrainian national, and he's accused of arson with intent to endanger life. He's been remanded in custody and will appear at the Old Bailey next month. Police say an accelerant was used and the Met's Counter-Terror Command is leading the case. The fires happened over 4 days, including a property rented by Starmer's sister-in-law and a car he previously owned. And nearly 100 people, including children, have been killed in a major Israeli assault on North Gaza, according to reports coming out of the region. Witnesses reported airstrikes, shelling and tanks as homes and tents were hit overnight. Israel says it's targeting terrorist infrastructure. It's the largest ground operation in the north since March and comes as famine fears grow under Israel's growing blockade. Those are the latest headlines. One more update from me in around an hour's time. Now, though, let's get straight back to Patrick.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Welcome along. Thank you very much to all of my live studio audience. They're on top four tonight. So are my panel, so am I. So, let's get stuck in. On Tuesday, we went to the front line of the Channel migrant crisis. You'll notice it's mostly men, isn't it? It's mostly men. And a variety of different people here from different parts of the world. We've spoken to people from Sudan, from Eritrea, from Afghanistan. Hello. There's a big Red Cross, I think it is anyway, yeah, Red Cross Française. So there's a medical tent here where they can get their medical supplies. There's other bits and bobs going on over here. Yes, OK, so they are quite literally queuing up in Calais. There are thousands of people on their way to Britain. Stand before you today, currently stood in the middle of an illegal migrant warehouse full of young Sudanese men, some of whom have just done the call to prayer down there. And then if you were to just cast your eyes upwards slightly and to the left, you will see an overhanging warehouse full of more Sudanese men. The Prime Minister went off to Albania yesterday and came up with a big new idea.
What now we want to do, and we're having discussions on, talks on, is return hubs, which is where someone's been through the system in the UK, they need to be returned, and we have to make sure they're returned effectively, and we'll do that if we can through return hubs. So that's what the talk's about.
Well, good luck with that, Prime Minister, because the second one of those people is about to get on a deportation plane, half of his MPs will be chaining themselves to the wheels and gluing themselves to the tarmac on the runway. But unfortunately, for the Prime Minister, the Albanians were having none of it. Has anyone seen Keir Starmer's X profile recently? He started putting out stuff like this, these tweets here. If you're one of the smugglers, I won't do the voice. If you're one of the smugglers putting people in small boats across the channel, we're coming after you. And then... Sorry, I gave in to Barry there, anyway. But no, but seriously, are you? You know, are you, though? I mean, I went out there for less than 24 hours. We exposed one camp, and then the French police did this the next day. They are slashing that boat now. So, it is proof that the French do actually do something with our money, to be fair, isn't it? That boat has been slashed. Yes, I must say, I resisted the urge to slash that boat myself, but anyway. And then the Prime Minister says this: I've already returned over 24,000 people with no right to be here, and I won't stop there. Rubbish. He's actually deported about 6,000 people, the rest left voluntarily. And I hate to break it to you, Prime Minister, but the lads from Sudan aren't scared of you.
If they try to send me back to my country, no way. They will find no way them to find that if they want to deport me back, there's no way their people should go and pick the people from.
Yeah, I would just like to point out there, I was also stood in a little bit of a hole, right? He wasn't... he was a big lad, but he wasn't... Anyway, the news tonight is this. Keir Starmer has said that he'll do a head-to-head debate with Nigel Farage. So I'll reiterate that. Keir Starmer has said he will do a head-to-head debate with Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage has said he's up for it. But why wait until the next election? Why wait? Who wants to see Farage versus Starmer on this show? And hey, look, you can say whatever you like to this, but, you know, who thinks that maybe I should host that debate? Oh, well, fine, whatever. Well, I'll tell you what, if they want it, if they want it. Come on then, let's have it. Anyway, right, back to the main topic at hand. Does anyone think that Keir Starmer will stop the boats? Right, OK, let's whiz ourselves onto the panel. Have we got someone in the crowd? Yes, we do. Go on, sir. Would you like to kick us off this hour, please?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My question to the panel is about the subject you've just been discussing, has been on the news.
Yeah.
About this new term, return hubs.
OK.
And as you said, Keir Starmer's latest idea, and he trips along to Albania, and the Albanian Prime Minister says, "Hello, Keir, no way." So I gather we're in discussion with other countries, and it's almost as if we've never heard this idea before. I sort of think I have. But what's the way forward on this, and what happens next?
OK, good question. Well done, sir. Go on then, Jane. So where are you on the idea of return hubs?
I think I'm still annoyed Rishi didn't get Rwanda up and running, because it was a very different scheme to this Starmer return hub. He said these would be for people whose legal avenues have been exhausted, and there is a whole activist lawyer class prolonging people's claims for asylum. I think very few people ever reach the end of their legal process. So Rwanda would have been getting people off planes or off boats onto a plane to Rwanda, processing them there, and then leaving them to build their lives in
that's
Rwanda.
a calumny against Rishi Sunak, because Rishi Sunak did get it up and running. He actually managed to get 4 people to Rwanda, and it cost over £300 million. And it was only ever going to be 300 people a year that went there. So the idea that this was going to be some wonderful solution...
It wasn't limiting. And they interviewed people before the election on the north coast of France saying, we don't want to go to Rwanda, we're waiting for Labour. We're waiting for a Labour government. So Rwanda, it wasn't limited to 300 people a year.
It was. I'm sorry, it was.
No,
that was the deal. That was the deal they did with Rwanda.
It could have been expanded, and also it could. And people did not want to go there. People in Calais were saying, we are not going to risk it, we're going to wait. People were going into the Republic of Ireland because they didn't want to go to Rwanda. Sadly, the amendments I supported weren't put through, and the legal challenges would have come.
If Sunak had thought that the Rwanda scheme was going to work for 1 second, he would not have called the election when he did. He would have waited, he would have got it working, and then he'd have said, look how wonderful I am, re-elect me. And he didn't, because he knew it would never work.
His scheme, it was Boris Johnson's. That's why I don't think Rishi Sunak believed in it. And I think, listen, the Prime Minister again has had a bad week. I'm getting bored of it now. He's had a very bad week. he's just...
Aren't you here to sort of defend the Prime Minister?
No, I'm here to speak for me. I think the idea that he's going to debate Farage at the general election is laughable. He won't be the leader by then. He won't be the Prime Minister by then. It's totally...
Hang on. It could be David Lammy.
On a serious note, on a serious note of how we stop this, and this is something I think me and Barry probably discuss weekly at the moment, is the idea of return hubs don't work because people are already here, exhausting their legal options. You need to stop people getting here in the first place. Now, I've long advocated to you and other people the idea of processing centres offshore. It's a totally separate thing. And what you do is you please the left side of your base as a Labour Party because it is technically a safe and legal route. You also please the public who believe in national security and want to feel safe. So rather than having people who are maybe fleeing persecution, you've got economic migrants on their coattails, coming with them, throwing their passports in the Channel, pretending they're from Afghanistan or wherever else, lying about who they are. We don't know who these people are and we can't differentiate. Now, if we change the 51 Convention, which Barry also champions the idea of, and we say you don't have to be here to apply for asylum, you can do it in a British embassy in your country, you can do it in a processing centre in your country. Boris Johnson was offered the opportunity in 2021. France said, their Interior Minister said, we'll set one up in Calais, we will pay for it, and you can put your Home Office staff in it. He fell out with Emmanuel Macron the week of the summit and we never heard about it ever again because he realised both sides were failing politically. Because to tell you the other thing as well, 1 million people came into this country last year legally. I don't think That's the stuff that gets people annoyed. I imagine you can raise your
I
hand.
think that does get people annoyed.
No, I think what gets people more annoyed is turning on their TVs every day and seeing people cross the channel every single day, and this feeling... This feeling of unfairness that people are getting ahead in life ahead of yous, and you know, skipping the queue.
Would anyone just to say? Would anyone else like to make a point? If you do, just wave furiously, and we can get the yes, she's got it. There we go. I was hoping you would. I could see you were getting very exercised there. Fantastic. Now, you've come all the way from Portsmouth, is that right?
I am all the way from Portsmouth.
Good. Thank you very much. What would you like to say?
So, with Keir Starmer wanting to get rid of legal migrants, which we need in our care system, why isn't he fighting for illegal ones better to stop them?
The care... Sorry, I know I've spoken, but the care system one shows how totally reactive the speech was on Monday. First of all, he's lost his moral high ground. If he ever feels Nigel Farage or the Conservatives say anything untoward or potentially racist sounding, they just go, look at what you said on Monday. You know, you can't have a go at us anymore. On the care system, Rishi Sunak changed the rules so that people that worked in our care system and got visas to do so couldn't bring family dependents. So our care visas went from 131,000 a year to less than 10,000 last year. Isn't the care system that's the issue? It is people jumping on the coattails of people genuinely fleeing. And the idea that you can smash the gangs, you should be stopping the boats that will smash the gangs.
Go on, Chris.
Can I just say, I actually agree with every word you've said. Sorry. That was awful. I mean, I actually agree with the return with the offshore processing centres. Agree with all of that. I also. I love the idea of them being called return hubs, like Amazon or something. Am I going to get a text when someone goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, there was no one in to accept your return at the moment. It's going to be resent somewhere else."
We've left it in a bush.
And one more other point as well. Can we just give you a round of applause for your sterling journalism this week? No, I mean it. Because also, you didn't go there to just actually be aggressive to people. You just spoke to them and found out exactly where they stood on things. And I think that actually, by doing it that way, you got way more out of people.
Oh, thank you.
You're an amazing journalist, and I can't understand your handwriting here as well. What did you tell me to say?
Thank you. Well, one thing I will say about that trip there is that we have given the French, roughly speaking, about £1 billion. And I could not see a single shred of evidence as to where that has been spent. Well, I went to a couple of places that were the hot spots for where the boats come off, along the stretch of 72 miles of coast. And I could not see a single bit of evidence of, like, a proper fence, really, or them being able to police the river. I mean, it was mad. It was insane. And then the next day, you know, they obviously shut down one of those migrant camps. And I don't really necessarily think that was a coincidence, but why can't we do more of this? It is possible to stop the boats. You just have to actually do something, I think, really.
Yeah, I partly agree with what Matthew said, but the fact remains far more people could claim asylum than we could possibly ever accommodate. There are so many people in the world who could legitimately claim asylum, and I think it is an argument for developing countries to accept people and for us in the West to love bomb those countries, educate people, build the economies.
Those people that I was speaking to there had come across, many of them, even places like Bulgaria, Serbia, often through Turkey, Greece, Italy, etc., etc., etc. Why is it our responsibility now? Why can't it be any of those other countries?
No, look, and this is the other part of what Matthew was saying, because we do need to change the 1951 Convention, because that was created at a time, and in fairness, it was the UK that was leading the creation of that convention. And because we said that if you have a well-founded fear of persecution, you can go to another country, and given that we were a signatory, we weren't thinking that people would just cross on land, because we're an island, so they couldn't. So it was always clear that we would accept asylum seekers. But Jane's point is absolutely fundamental here, and that is there are more people in the world who would like to live in a developed country, and actually probably more people in the world who do have a well-founded fear of persecution in their own country than developed countries can accommodate. But the point then is, for those countries which are underdeveloped, those countries that are poor, why is it, and Matt talked about the loss of the moral high ground, why is it that we said that we would increase the aid budget from what the Tories had cut it at 0.5 to 0.7, and we cut it by a further 40% to 0.3% of our GNP. Now, that's if you want peace, if you want stability.
But so money to Rwanda is a good
Make sure
thing.
that people in those other countries can live.
I do find it a little bit depressing that our two options are either accept everyone from all over the world into our country or pay to make their country better. I find that a bit why have we got to do all of this? But anyway, anyway, talking of things that we're just giving away for free, it is the Great British Giveaway. It's your chance to win. I'll tell you what, it's not a 1, it's not a 2, it's not a 3, it's a 4-berth motorhome worth £67,000 and 5 grand on top. Here's how.
Great Britain is ready for you to explore this summer, and there's still plenty of time to grab this fabulous family motorhome. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, the Elnag Baron 560 comfortably sleeps 4, has integrated bathroom and kitchen spaces, and plenty of storage for all of the things you need to bring along on your next adventure. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that anywhere you visit in your brand new motorhome is done in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Coming up, as Britain's prisons are full to bursting, it's now been reported that some sex offenders and domestic abusers could be released early to free up space. Well, I suppose we could just deport the 10,000 foreign criminals that we've got. All of that and much more coming your way. Stay tuned.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
This is the King's son using the King's court to sue the King's minister. Yes. Constitutionally, this is pretty rum, isn't it? Can you think of a previous historic example?
It's unprecedented. That word's often used with regards to Harry, but I do think he's shone his light into a bunch of nettles that we never go to. Why don't we even know how much royal security costs us? And by the way, if you put in a freedom of information, you won't get a result from it because they say that would be to imperil the people they're protecting. But the truth is, let's be honest, the Duke of Gloucester on a Sunday afternoon opening, I don't know, a leisure pool in Grimsby, or even, dare I say it, the Duchess of Edinburgh rocking up to the National Memorial Arboretum and doing a very good job. I refuse to believe that they are more in need of security than Prince Harry is.
They don't get it.
They do. I'm sorry. They do get. Royals, when they're working, do get security.
If they're doing specific events,
yes,
there are security around the events. But you can see the Duke of Kent walking up St James's Street by himself.
Yes.
There isn't this...
And when they're working is the critical word there, because Harry has stepped back from all of his frontline royal duties. Right?
But once a prince, always a prince. You can't actually unpick
He's a prince emeritus.
Well, but both of you presumably believe in hereditary monarchy. And if you believe in hereditary monarchy, you've got to bear the cost.
Comes with the duty of service, which he set aside. It's not the job of the armed police to provide emotional support bodies to somebody who has abdicated their responsibilities as a member of the royal family, and then is actually, instead of going into... He could have picked... There are all kinds of relatively anonymous lives that Harry could have chosen, right? He could have gone anywhere in the world. Yes. Instead, he has moved to California, where he and his wife continually try, with increasing lack of success, to cash in.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdley, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to my wonderful live studio audience. Absolutely delightful to have so many of you here on a Friday night. Serious concerns now, though, are being raised over new emergency measures that could see sex offenders and domestic abusers released from prison just 28 days after breaching their licence. Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood is pushing forward a plan to ease pressure by freeing up 1,400 cells, and earlier this week she announced funding for 3 new prisons to be built to help tackle the overcapacity. Now, in England and Wales, there are currently over 10,000 foreign nationals held in custody, so if only there was a way of freeing up a bit of space, you know, if only there was something we could do there, like deport them maybe. But we will go... Has anyone got a question on this? Oh, there we go. Go on, at the back, so what would you like to say?
Yeah, I think that the question here is why are prisons so overcrowded? And how would you respond to your constituents about early release and public safety for them, which could then potentially lead to their mental health? And wouldn't this allow the offenders to re-offend at the same time?
Okay. Yeah, I think there's... yeah, great stuff, thank you. I mean, there must be a concern here, right, that you go a bit soft on some of these people and, you know, if they're a stalker or a sex offender or something like that, that then puts people at risk, Jane?
Yeah, I think we all want to see dangerous people who are a danger to their partner, if it's a domestic abuse case, locked away, and for those people to be safe. And I think the foreign criminals is a very valid point, and I'd like to see some returns agreement there.
But Jane, in the 14 years that the Conservatives were in power, you built 500 new prison places. Yeah. 500. Yeah. OK? Since July, when we came to power, we have actually created 2,400 new prison places. And as you've just said, Patrick, we're now building 3 more prisons, which will be about, I think, 14,000 new... Now,
but isn't that separate to all the people that you release, though? I mean, you get those places by releasing a load of criminals.
What I'm trying to show is 2 things. One, the reason that these people are having to be released is because more people who are more dangerous are coming in, and we're getting those people on early release. So, and the reason for that is because of the complete failure of the previous government, which we are now doing something about. And that's the point. But it's not a solution to go on building more and more prisons. Correct. We've got to solve crime. We've got to actually get on top of the criminals to make sure that there aren't people who are committing the crimes that we need to send.
I want to know if anyone in this room, you just take a second to think about it, if anyone in this room has got a solution to this and what you would like to do, put your hand up, grab the microphone. How would you solve this crisis? So, give me a minute on that, but what would you do, Christo?
I just think that there's... I'm sorry to say this, but do they deliberately try and wind us up? I think that they do, because, I mean, why would it be a good idea for someone who is a domestic abuser, they've breached their licence condition, so they're sent straight back to prison, great, perfect, and then they're out again in 4 weeks. It's like they've had a little prison holiday. It is just ridiculous. Credit where it's due, building those new prisons. Yep. That needs to happen. And it's a fair point to say that the previous government failed on that. But I don't think that this government can boast of a sterling record when it comes to freeing up prison places when you look at the number of people that they released who were dangerous. Ridiculous.
He's back. The lad on the front row. Go on, what would you like to say?
Hello. Yes, I just think we're too weak. It is literally just that. We have become so incumbent to look after ourselves, and we look at the government to look after ourselves, and it's now the government looking for somebody to look after them. You know, we are literally falling apart because we're too weak, and we need to get back to strength and honour, and to make that a priority. And we're teaching kids when the question on earlier. Something we need to be instilling into our children is strength and honour, and strength doesn't mean to be horrible. Yeah, but it means to have morals, values, stick by them, and when the times get tough, yeah, you can match that energy. And if we have got more violent criminals coming over that are more violent than what we've got here, then we need tougher sentences. And then if we've got dangerous people we've got in prisons at the moment, then, yeah, we need tougher sentences to stop them wanting to do them dangerous acts.
But then they're in prison for longer. Yes. And that means that the prisons become more crowded. So, I agree with everything that you said about values and teaching our kids to do the right thing, OK? There I'm with you. But I think what you've got to understand is that we can't build our way out of this. We actually have to stop the criminal gangs. And the idea that you can say, well, 10,000 are from abroad, so we'll simply chuck them out and deport them. Actually, they committed a crime here. If they go back home, they're not going to be in prison in home. We want them to be punished here.
No, I think it's a long-term solution. The whole point of prison is supposed to act as a deterrent. It's supposed to rehabilitate and it's supposed to punish. And at the moment, we have people leaving prison that aren't ready to leave prison. And that's not because they're being released early. I think, was it 90% of the last cohort that were released early ended up going straight back?
Oh, yeah, loads of them.
But that
one
tells
guy was
me,
back in prison like 24 hours later.
But that's prison does not work. We currently, how we could free up places is we're sending people to prison for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I think, as someone that, you know, fell foul of the law during my period of homelessness and getting into trouble, is what are you learning in prison? Are you learning from your mistakes? Are you going to come out wanting to contribute to society? Are you going to be a better person?
Well,
I went and saw a friend who I grew up with. He's doing 27 years in a Category A prison, and he's done his, you know, his right to be there. He was telling me he spent 23 hours in those prisons. People are serving all different sentences. The idea that you're going to come out with a £50 travel voucher with nowhere to live and be ready to get on in life after doing 3 or 4 years in prison is just unsustainable. We can't build our way out of this. The prison places that we're making, we've just built a 1,500 place prison for £500 million. Reoffending costs the Home Office £20 billion a year. We can be using community sentences and restorative justice more so.
OK, that's all right. Good stuff. I do kind of was quite intrigued to find out what your mate did, actually. But anyway, well, anyway, right, sorry, so we're out of time for your point now, but you can get involved in the next one if you want, because coming up, this exchange between Emily Maitlis and Rupert Lowe has gone viral.
Telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist.
Oh, she's lost the plot. She's absolutely lost the plot. Does this interaction demonstrate, frankly, everything that's wrong with the British establishment media? Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Welcome to your holiday sun forecast, and there will be some sunshine for Italy following some unsettled weather this week. Blustery showers, though, pushing into Greece, some heavy downpours and strong winds. That eases away over the next few days, and we're seeing the last of the showers clear southern Italy, with plenty of sunny spells returning. Spain and Portugal, perhaps the places to be. Plenty of dry weather, some patchy cloud, otherwise largely sunny skies. A few showers for Italy, but most places looking good into next week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. High pressure remains in charge of the UK's weather this weekend. That means plenty more dry and settled weather. Not entirely clear though. There is a lot of cloud waiting in the North Sea, and with winds circulating around high pressure in a clockwise fashion, we're going to see those winds bring the low cloud in after dark, and that low cloud will spread to much of northern England, the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast parts of northern and eastern Scotland. I think it'll break up as it moves west, particularly for northwest England, parts of Wales and the southwest. Clearest skies remain to the west, especially Northern Ireland and western Scotland, and here temperatures dipping to the low single figures, but that's where the sunniest weather will be first thing this weekend. Plenty of sunshine in the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, but we've got this low cloud and some spots of drizzle running into the east and northeast of Scotland. Perhaps the low cloud reaching as far as Glasgow and Edinburgh, and certainly extensive across southeast Scotland, northeast England, where again some drizzly outbreaks will be occurring during the first part of the day. But as the morning progresses, the cloud will be nibbled away by the sunshine. It will lift and break up. And really by late morning, the cloud becomes more restricted to parts of the Midlands, northern and northeast England. I think it will be slow to clear parts of northern England, but eventually, by the end of the afternoon, it will be more restricted to the east coast, with plenty of sunshine elsewhere. And where we get the longest sunny spells, temperatures will reach the low 20s. However, that North Sea wind will make it feel on the cool side for the east of England and north and east Scotland. Sunday starts off in a similar way. A lot of low cloud across many parts of the UK, but it tends to retreat back to the east coast once again. Sunshine breaking out widely. Chance of a few showers Monday, Tuesday, but away from those showers, plenty of sunshine continues with highs into the low 20s.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Everybody, yes. So, the establishment media has arguably been out of touch with the British public for quite some time, not least over the coverage of grooming gangs. Well, one of the biggest figures in that British establishment media is Emily Maitlis, and she sat down to interview MP Rupert Lowe. Now, just take a little listen to her response to Mr Lowe pointing out the cold, hard facts about the grooming gang scandal.
Do you not think, Emily, there's an issue with Pakistani Muslims raping working-class white underage girls? Do you not think there's an issue there?
I think there is an appalling issue with grooming when it hits any community and any age. We only ever hear you talk about Pakistani perpetrators.
Are you telling me there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist and you don't believe that there are white perpetrators of the same crime. Can you deny that?
Oh, what do you all think of Emily Maitlis there? Doing that. Bad, isn't it, that, really, I think? I mean, I think she's so thin-skinned, I thought, there, really. You've got Rupert Lowe coming back with some things that maybe she finds unpalatable, but they are facts, and then, you know, snapping at him and calling him a racist. I found that quite astonishing, really. I personally think that she sums up everything that's wrong with the establishment media and how out of touch they really are. What would you say to that, Christo?
OK,
you like her, don't you? Here we go.
I like her because of the Prince Andrew interview. I think she's really good at that. OK, I don't think she chose her words particularly well, saying because she made it about herself. I think you're probably racist. I think that is completely the wrong way to have put it. I don't think Rupert Lowe actually defended himself particularly well in that interview. She was asking repeatedly, why are you focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs? She is a journalist. It's her job to represent the people out there that will have that opinion that Rupert Lowe and others disproportionately focus on Pakistani grooming gangs. So she's right to ask this question.
By the way, can I just say the answer to that, and for anyone who ever gets asked this again, the answer to that is that per capita, per head of population, there is a higher proportion.
Rupert Lowe
that is why it's a big issue.
Failed repeatedly to give that absolutely credible and simple answer. Where she was wrong was she said, well, I think you're probably racist. What she should have said was, what would you say to those people who think you're doing it because you're racist? Because there are people out there that think that. It's her job as a journalist to ask that. I think that's a good thing to ask.
I just have so much anger for people like Emily Maitlis, seriously, who have had years with a platform as big as hers, with a prime BBC Newsnight show there, where they could have really gone after the Pakistani rape gang issue, and they just barely ever touched it, if at all. That really winds me up. Like, and you know why, Barry, in my view, is because it affects working-class white girls, and she doesn't give a toss.
But none of that isn't true.
I think it's really unfair to say that Emily Maitlis doesn't give a toss about working-class white girls.
Well, how she ever hung out with him?
Look,
very much doubt it.
Surely the point is this. You are correct statistically, per capita, per head of population, the people who have committed offences of grooming gangs are more, but it's 3% of all the grooming gang activity. 3%, right? So 850 people a month are being arrested in this country for offences against children, child sexual offences, grooming gangs. 850 a month. This is not specific to one sector of the population.
No, but one sector wasn't being investigated and prosecuted for it. That's the story. That's the issue.
Actually,
also immigration from that part of the world
Professor
into Britain
J
is increasing.
found out.
That's why maybe we should stop that.
What she found out and stated in the report was that the person who put an end to that was Sir Keir Starmer when he was head of the DPP.
Okay.
So historically, you're correct. But in 2013, 2014, he actually put an end to that backing off because they didn't want to cause offence to a particular
But we are still getting more information about grooming gangs, of course.
And we need a lot more.
Just Pakistani men committing atrocities against children, but they have a specific pattern. It is working-class white girls. Some of the evidence we read is a real torture. We need a national inquiry.
You know what? Emily Maitlis, in my view, cares more about the Garrick Club not letting in women, right, than she cares about this. That story, they went absolutely mental on that story. Who gives a toss? I've never even heard of the Garrick Club before they started piping up about it. Oh, it's got to let women in. Who's it going to let in? People like Emily Maitlis and Cathy Newman. I'd pay not to be there.
Aren't you more annoyed that Rupert Lowe, and I'm sorry to say it, she absolutely bulldozed him, and he gave such a poor performance in that interview. You just gave far better answers in 10 seconds than he gave, and he's an MP. He should be absolutely prepared for those sorts of questions, and he wasn't. He completely was crushed.
Well, we'll see. I mean, look, you're
not going to find me defending grooming gangs or anything like that, but he did a terrible performance.
I get it. Now, just before I go to you, Matthew, sorry about this. I've just had it in mind because we're talking about Emily Maitlis here, aren't we? And, you know, all of this stuff. Barry, you've had a bit of an experience.
I knew you were getting into this.
Shall we have a look? I've not seen this before, so I don't know what it is. Go on, let's play it.
Okay. She has failed over 2.5 years. We have put full alternative that the EU say is a game changer.
So she actually got in a bit of trouble with that, didn't she? She was. Right, she said in her book she thought she was going to get sacked because she rolled her eyes at you.
But do you know what actually... I'll tell you the real story there. This was during the Brexit debate. They were all out on College Green. It was up on the platforms. And she was really angry with her crew because she was saying, fix the monitor. This was before we went on.
So she's a nightmare to work with.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
She's a massive dick.
I did not say that. But she was really annoyed with her crew, and she was saying, can you fix it? And they were saying, no, that's not our job. We can't do that. We're your crew. And so they were working to rule, and she was really pent up about it. And when I wouldn't give her the answer that she wanted, the eyes rolled.
To do with you.
My darling, you know it's never me.
If we got in trouble every time we rolled our eyes at you, honestly, none of us would be appearing.
Exactly. What do you think? Do you think Emily Maitlis represents a certain type of person from a certain, you know, kind of echelon of society that maybe doesn't quite understand your working man and woman?
Yes. I think that's like most of the media. It's like lots of the politics and politicians. It's always been that way. I've had my bugbears with it for years. I would also question, though, Rupert Lowe's all of a sudden caring about white working class girls. I've never heard him speak of it before it became a political football. And the thing that winds me up is I grew up in Greater Manchester and I knew girls like this that were written off as troublemakers or attention seekers and whatever else. And I can't help but feel that the working class at times were treated as almost like a museum piece.
Yeah, they were.
Or just a demographic to be courted to at election time. Nobody really tends to care about us when we're working class. It's all a facade. You know, the Conservatives only began to bring it up. Well, I didn't see on any page of their manifesto a national inquiry at the last election. The same goes for the Labour Party, by the way. But this is an issue that's been ignored for years and people have decided to get involved because it suits their
I think you're right. I mean, I'm sure we can all remember as well, it was probably about 10 or 15 years ago, when there was that real thing about chavs. Well, that suddenly became a big thing. And, OK, it was the Vicky Pollard aspect to it, and some people on Jeremy Kyle and all of that. But actually, what we were witnessing there was the large-scale Mickey-taking of a certain class of people. And that was a kind of almost like a humiliation thing. But that was designed, I think, to get at people and to be like, oh, look, you know, there's some person who will be pushing a pram and having a fag at the same time, maybe a kind of lager in the back of it. And that seems like a real demonisation of those people. Of course, you can't do that to any other community, can you? You can only do that because it's the white working class. But, anyway, coming up next, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. So I was on my soapbox there. I shouldn't really be doing this. My audience crowned this week's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass. Let's have it. Whee!
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
A monumental breakthrough. Scientists have revealed that they've found strong evidence of alien life. Just 124 light years away.
Which is quite far, isn't it? Astronomers from Cambridge University have detected signs of molecules that do indicate life, so we may not be alone after all.
Well, joining us now to explain what on earth this exciting story is, the astronomer and broadcaster Mark Thompson joins us. Mark, just how important is this discovery?
It's incredibly important. For so many years now, we've been looking for some signs that we're not alone in the universe. The universe is a massive place. It's often been said that there's more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth. So, it's a big place. And to think that we're the only intelligent species in the entire cosmos is difficult to understand. And the discovery that's just been announced is that there's something called dimethyl sulfide, which is an element made of hydrogen, carbon and sulfur, which at the moment we think the only possible way that could be there is through some form of primitive living organisms.
So this is because it's a very complicated gas to sort of combine together. There's no way there could be some sort of volcano churning this stuff out. It has to be some sort of biological life form as the most likely explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. There are other elements, but this particular element, dimethyl sulfide, at the moment, the only process we know of that can produce it is life. Now, of course, we're still in early stages of this discovery, and we still need to do a lot of work to see if there's any other processes we can identify that can produce it. But for now, the only thing we know of is life, and so the only explanation, therefore, is that it's life. But it is still early days.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Everybody, it's the final bit of the show. We're going to do Greatest Britain Union Jackass, so I want my audience to make the decisions for us here. Barry Gardner, we'll start with your Greatest Britain, please.
Sportsmanship. What's happened to British sportsmanship? Justin Rose, at the end of the Masters, lost to Rory McIlroy, and yet he went over, gave the guy a hug. That was sportsmanship. He's my greatest Britain.
All right. It's a bit rogue, so it happened a while ago, but we'll go with it. Go on, Jane.
I didn't know about it till this week.
I am going to say firefighters. We've had a horrible story today, and 2 firefighters have sadly lost their lives. 2 others are in hospital, and they represent one of the professions that any day they could get that call to run into danger to help us.
Yeah, very, very well done. Very much so. Christo, your greatest Britain, please.
Well, we fought them on the beaches, didn't we? We've all had to sometimes take up that call to arms, and now we will again this weekend at Eurovision. So my greatest Britain is our Eurovision entry. Remember Monday. Anyone? Heard of them? Anyone?
No.
Yes. Is that the name of the song?
How does the song go? Is there a song?
What the hell just
happened? Why are you making me sing? What are you doing?
No one made you.
No one made me, actually. The question is, will we remember them Monday? Probably not. But that is my greatest Britain. They're representing us. They're going to war at Eurovision.
OK, good. Have we got a clip of it? Oh, here we go. Here we go.
The hell just happened?
Who would have thought that Christo was a fan of Eurovision, eh? You know? All right, OK, good stuff. Go on, Matthew, who's your greatest Britain, please?
My greatest Britain is the 140 backbench Labour MPs who have sent a letter to the Chief Whip saying they will not support the government's welfare reforms. And I think that is the traditional Labour that we haven't seen for some time, and actually what we really send people to do in Parliament is to represent those who are most vulnerable in our society. I imagine they'll force a climb down, so good on them.
All right. So, we'll start with who thinks that Justin Rose is the greatest Briton? OK. All right. So, but I think it was a good shout, though. I just think you've been out...
Where's the sportsmanship in this audience? Nobody believes in good British sportsmanship.
I think we're going to hear... I think we might hear a bit of a roar now, because firefighters...
They did win 3 weeks ago.
Okay,
I mean, this is.
Christo, is for Eurovision. Sorry. The 140 Labour MP.
Yeah!
Just to round us off, we're going to go with Union Jackass, which is my favourite bit of this. So, who's your Union Jackass, please, Barry?
Thames Water boss, Chris Weston, who in the select committee, despite all the sewage being pumped out, all the leakages, right? What did he say? He said that in addition to his £2.3 million a year...
What?
He gets £2.3 million a year salary. His £2,166 a day bonus was well worth it.
Oh, my God.
Which they've taken out the bill rise.
All right, we're going to have to rattle on. Go on, Jane. Sorry, who's your Union Jackass?
Mine were, and I've just looked up, 2 people have been arrested, but the 2 teenagers who were torturing and killing 2 kittens. I mean, just idiots. But they have been... 2 people have been arrested.
OK, all right. Christo, who's your Union Jackass?
OK, well, if you basically protest the ultra-low emission zone, you're far right. If you have any views he doesn't agree with, you're far right. However, Sadiq Khan is not prepared to actually say anything negative about Keir Starmer, who this week called immigrants strangers. Normally he'd be all over that, but he's just a repellent little coward.
Matthew, we've got about 30 seconds, quickly.
Mine is Nassim Mimun, who is the taxi driver that tried to
All right, the effing French. OK, right, just shout a name at me for whoever you think is going to win. We got Barry's
Thames Water.
I think that. What about the taxi driver? What was your one again?
Sadiq Khan.
We've got a winner, everybody. thank you very much, everybody, for going out your way to come and join us here on a Friday night. I hope you've had as much fun as I have. I am now off for a week, so I'll see you on the other side.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. High pressure remains in charge of the UK's weather this weekend. That means plenty more dry and settled weather. Not entirely clear though. There is a lot of cloud waiting in the North Sea, and with winds circulating around high pressure in a clockwise fashion, we're going to see those winds bring the low cloud in after dark, and that low cloud will spread to much of northern England, the Midlands, East Anglia and the southeast parts of northern and eastern Scotland. I think it'll break up as it moves west, particularly for northwest England, parts of Wales and the southwest. Clearest skies remain to the west, especially Northern Ireland, western Scotland, and here temperatures dipping to the low single figures, but that's where the sunniest weather will be first thing this weekend. Plenty of sunshine in the west of Scotland, Northern Ireland, but we've got this low cloud and some spots of drizzle running into the east and northeast of Scotland. Perhaps the low cloud reaching as far as Glasgow and Edinburgh, and certainly extensive across southeast Scotland, northeast England, where again some drizzly outbreaks will be occurring during the first part of the day. But as the morning progresses, the cloud will be nibbled away by the sunshine. It will lift and break up. And really by late morning, the cloud becomes more restricted to parts of the Midlands, northern and northeast England. I think it will be slow to clear parts of northern England, but eventually, by the end of the afternoon, it will be more restricted to the east coast, with plenty of sunshine elsewhere. And where we get the longest sunny spells, temperatures will reach the low 20s. However, that North Sea wind will make it feel on the cool side for the east of England and north and east Scotland. Sunday starts off in a similar way. A lot of low cloud across many parts of the UK, but it tends to retreat back to the east coast once again. Sunshine breaking out widely. Chance of a few showers Monday, Tuesday, but away from those showers, plenty of sunshine continues with highs into the low 20s.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You could be the next big winner on the road in this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. Imagine the fun you could have in this luxurious home from home worth over £67,000. We'll also give you £5,000 in tax-free cash to make your next getaway a great one. And it could be all yours. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News. Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. on